How are we already in the middle of the year? Hello and welcome. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Callie and I have been reading such a variety of books lately. I have been jumping around, not just to my dark romance and romance like comfort genres, but I've been getting a little bit into higher fantasy and some lit RPGs. Let's jump right into our June reading wrap up. I think I read about 10 to 12. I'm going to have to double check. So grab a snack or a drink, get comfy, and let's go through these books. The first book I finished this month, I finished listening to This Inevitable Ruin by Matt Dinniman, and that was book 7 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. If you are new here, I am completely obsessed with Dungeon Crawler Carl. It is literally God tier series for me. Without going into too many details, this floor was completely different from the other floors. If you don't know what Dungeon Crawler Carl's about, basically the world was taken over by some form of alien race. People that went into a dungeon are on an alien TV show that's similar to Survivor, but if you lose, there's no coming back. You're done. So they have to survive each of these floors of the dungeon. If they make it to a certain level, they can possibly make a deal to get out alive. Or they could try to win the entire dungeon and become basically the ruler of Earth. So in book 7, I'm not going to say what floor we're on, but it was very different from all the other floors. And I loved it. I ate it up. I was on such an emotional roller coaster in this book. I was laughing. I was anxious. I was upset. I was crying. I was mad. Like, full range of emotions. And at this point in book 7, you would think that maybe it's like slogging. No, every single book has been filled with action and we're getting even more politics. The world has become bigger because we're getting to see more of it, not just our planet. The amount of time spent with the characters so far has created such a buy-in that the emotions evoked when something doesn't go the way you want it to is just crazy. I didn't think I'd be feeling this emotional over this specific book, but phenomenal. If you haven't read this series yet, you need to. Then I read Windweaver by Julie Johnson, and this book fell a little bit flat. I still had a good time, but it was marketed as like an epic fantasy with a heart-pounding romance. And that's just not what I got from this book. I didn't really feel a great connection between our FMC and MMC, which kind of made like the book a little bit of like a slog to get through, because if I don't have that connection, then I'm like, okay, it's just these two people, where one's like annoying the living daylights out of me because he wants to keep her in a cage and safe, and she just wants to be the strong woman she is. Let her do it. Let her try, let her fail, let her be her. And I'll tell you how I really feel, right? With that being said, though, I did have a good time for the majority of it, but half of the book, I could not have told you what the plot was. Nothing was happening. We were just on this same journey, just trucking along. However, the ending saved this book, and it was phenomenal. I wish the whole book had been this way. We got to see some powers being used, which were completely BA. Like, ah, it was so sick. So sick. I can't wait to read the next book because I'm hoping that she's able to put more of that in the next book. It was absolutely phenomenal. Loved the ending. Then I picked up Never Fall for a Dragon by Lola Glass. If you are looking for a fun, cozy, smutty good time, like, this is the book for you. I actually had no idea what to expect going in. And it was pretty short, so you can kind of like just fly through it. I think it was only like 200 and something pages. We are following our two characters. One is a dragon shifter, and the other is just a normal human woman. Right off the bat, you're going to jump right in. She touches him and ignites this, like, I think they call it heat. So they both go into heat, and we are following them through this time period of them trying to resist each other. I think that's the best way to say it. Yeah, it was cute. It was cute. I don't feel any need to read the rest of the books in the series. They're like interconnected standalones, but if you're looking for just like a fun, fast paced, spicy romance or romantasy, I guess, because it's fantasy, then I would say pick this up. Then I was feeling more of like a higher fantasy type book. So I read Depths of Vanalf by Brady Hunsaker. This book overall was pretty good. It had great world building. I did enjoy learning about the world and the types of magic and the different creatures that were in it. And I can see where there are some comparisons to like a Witcher type of vibe. Not that it's like The Witcher, but there is a vibe there that's similar with the monsters and hunting them down and keeping regular civilians safe. However, it did read very young. And I do love YA books. So that's coming from someone that enjoys YA fantasy. If I would have read this in my later teens, I would have fallen in love with it. Where I am today with my reading journey, it just didn't hit the way I'm sure it was supposed to. I will recommend my child to read this though when he gets a little bit older, because I think it's a great beginner YA fantasy. This next book took me completely by surprise. I thought I was getting a fae version of The Bachelor, and this book turned out to be so much more. It's a fun, quick, easy read that will rip you out of a reading slump. You have a fae queen, and she is able to gift humans once in their lifetime as they're like coming out their debut years a gift. And in exchange, you have to give her what she requests. And it's whatever she thinks in that moment is equal to the gift she's giving. So it could be completely different for the same thing in two different people. So you can trade getting a perfect smile for your fingernails, or maybe learning to play the piano, but you have to lose a pinky toe, or some other type of, maybe it's beauty. You want you to be more beautiful or straighter teeth, or whatever it is that you think your flaw is that you request to be fixed. She takes something else from you. So somebody could lose like their taste of something that they love the most, something like that. And as these girls, you have to decide whether that's worth it for you. And it's a very interesting concept, one that I've decided I would never partake in. Like, oh my God, some of the things that these girls willingly gave up. No, thank you. No, thank you. Not worth it. However, there is a plot twist at the end that I did not see coming. Didn't see it coming. It was fantastic. And I cannot wait to see where these books go. Then I picked up Where's Molly by H.D. Carlton. This is a book that I was highly anticipating reading because I loved Haunting and Hunting Adeline. I loved, oh my gosh, I can't even think of it. I loved Satan's Affair to an extent. That was a little brutal, but I did love Satan's Affair overall because I love Civvy. And I've always wanted Molly's story. Where did Molly go and what happened to her? And we do find out what happened to her and where she went in this story. It was a pretty short book overall. And I wish it was longer because I needed more. I didn't get that connection to Molly that I thought I was going to. And I wanted it. I wanted it so bad. There were so many things I felt that were left out that could have been like expanded on. I wanted more of her backstory. I wanted more of her possible future relationship with some of the people that they bring forth in this book. There's a cute little teaser at the end that I absolutely loved. And I'm curious to see where that goes. If it goes anywhere, I don't know. Hopefully it does. But yeah, I wanted more Molly. Next, I picked up A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't remember much. And that's not to say I didn't like the book, because I remember having a good time. I remember that there's dragons in it and our FMC can speak multiple dragon languages. And I remember the ending had like some sick moments in it. Oh, now I reminded myself. So the ending, the reason I had a good time through most of the book, and the reason I rated it just slightly lower than I would have originally is because of the ending. It was a sick ending, but something happens. Something happens at the end, And I don't believe it's true. I think they're just going to make something not happen that happened. And I felt zero connection to what occurred. So I felt like, I don't know, it was just a little strange how it happened. But I did have a good time up until that point. After all the heavy fantasy and the Where's Molly, I decided to pick up a cozy fantasy with low stakes that was just like cute. I read A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic by J. Penner. And this was exactly what I was looking for. I literally binged it. I inhaled it. Super cute, super sweet, fun, cozy fantasy. We're following a human who has zero magic capabilities, and she enters into this baking competition. A baking competition filled with supernatural beings like elves or fantastical beings, let me say it that way, like elves and dwarves, there's orcs, and all of them have their own like types of magic. And her type of magic is the understanding, like she has no magic, but she is a great baker. She understands flavors and science and how to mix these things together to create very unique flavoring for her baked goods. So let me just say, the way the food is described in this book, make sure you have a sweet treat with you because you're going to be craving something delicious when you read about what's made in this book. I actually can't wait to read book 2. This is another set of like interconnected standalones, and it follows one of the characters that we meet in this book, and it sounds pretty good. Highly recommend for cozy fantasy. I finally read my first Kristin Hannah book, and this is The Great Alone. Oh man, I don't even know what to say about this one. It took me through every emotion. I feel like I was pure rage reading at some points of this book. I've never fully hated a character in my book, but completely understood them at the same time. And it was extremely frustrating that I understood them when I wanted to just hate them. We're following our FMC, and her dad was in a war. I can't remember. I think it was the Vietnam War. And he comes back with PTSD. He is not the nicest person. However, how much of that stems from his PTSD, we'll never know. At the same time, he is suffering in his own way at a time period when mental illness wasn't really looked upon as an illness. So there was no assistance for PTSD at that time. And we're in Alaska, we're in the woods. It's survival in so many different ways. I think this book will stay with me for a very, very long time. I still think about what went on in that book and how upset it made me. But Kristin Hannah is a masterful writer. I loved her writing style, and I need a break. I can't back to back read her books, but I definitely will be reading more. Apparently, I was like a sucker for trauma at the end of this month because I read the Beartown trilogy. And given this trilogy was picked by my wheel, I decided we were going to start picking some of our TBR each month through my TBR jar, and the rest let the wheel choose for me because I have so many books that don't even get remembered. I have over 450 books on my physical TBR. So like 260 of them are on the wheel. And that's either the first book of the series or the continuing book of the series. And I decided when Beartown popped up by Fredrik Backman, I was just going to read the whole trilogy. What another emotional roller coaster. If you would have told me that I would fall in love with each and every one of these characters, except for one, maybe two. No, except for like two. If you would have told me, I would not have believed you. Fredrik Backman is another masterful writer that allows you to get into these characters' heads. And it feels like personal to you what they're going through. And the way that he writes these chapters, like you get a little paragraph of one character and then it jumps to a different character and then it jumps to another one. And it's not like a full chapter of one perspective. You're getting so many different ones. If I could give this series overall more than 5 stars, I would. They are the most flawed and real characters that honestly rival Robin Hobb's Chivalry for me. The only reason these hit deeper is because they're in a more realistic situation versus a fantasy one. I feel like this town is real. I feel like these people are real, and I care so deeply for them. Book one is called Beartown, and it is about a town that lives, eats, and breathes hockey. Everything in this town revolves around it. If the hockey team does well, the town does well. It creates more jobs. It creates more um, opportunities for the people of the town, for the sponsors of the people sponsoring this hockey team. The kids grow up on skates. This is what they do. It's kind of like a cult like club, but around hockey. And something happens to someone towards the beginning of Beartown. And what we're following is the fallout of that traumatic event that happens, but not just how it affects the person or the people involved in that event. We are following an entire town and how it affected multiple different people in this town. Kind of like I just don't want to spoil anything. I guess the fallout. You're seeing the fallout and how people are affected and the sides that people choose, the choices people make, whether they're right or wrong, or the reasoning behind the choices they make. And even if you're mad at them, part of you can understand that based on their perspective that you're seeing. And then you're also seeing the people that will stop at nothing to do what's right just because it's right, and how they're treated because it might not be a popular decision. I love them. I love every single one of them. I bawled my eyes out more than almost any other book I've read with this series. I have no words. It's fantastic. If you haven't read it yet, you need to read this series. But be prepared, because it will change you. It is one of those books that literally change you. Those are all the books I read in June. I had a fantastic reading month. I Before I did this video, I actually thought I didn't read that many books, and now I'm seeing that I read a ton of them. Maybe I just blocked it all out because of the trauma. It's also the first month I actually read my entire TBR, which is rare. Normally I deviate from it or just not in the mood for the books I picked anymore. But this month I read them all. So, no. I'm curious what your favorite book was that you read in the month of June. Haven't gotten into my summer reads yet. I think I'll be getting into some in July, but I think we're going to have another good reading month, because I do know what I picked for some of my TBR, and the rest of my TBR will be left up to chance. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. If you are new, please hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. I do have some super fun reading vlogs that I'll be getting into soon, and I cannot wait to share those with you. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.